What's up, everybody? ArrgThePirate here, and today I'm going to make a top 10 list of gods that I would recommend starting out if you're just starting Smite out. These gods are fairly easy to play, and they might make moving into Smite an easier transition and let you focus on gameplay. But first, let's talk about jungle practice. Now, if you go into the play menu and down at training and then go over to jungle practice, this will put you in a single person queue. And in this queue, you can pick any god in Smite. And so you can kind of use this to test out a god before you buy them. And if I do have the god pack, so I've got access to pretty much all of them. And we're going to try out, hell, I've never played her before, so we're going to try her out in this jungle practice. Now, within this little practice realm, you have access to pretty much everything that you can imagine. There's every single jungle buff, there's a lane of minions that you can go kill, you can even practice against another enemy, there's the fire giant, there's a gold fury, you have infinite gold, or well, I guess it's not infinite, but you've got so much gold you'll never use it all, and this is really where you can go to test out your hero, or test out your god rather, and really see if you like them, if you don't like them. You know, this is where you can go before you make a purchase to try out a god and see, hey, do I like this one? Do I want to spend my money on them? Or, you know, your honor. If you don't, hey, don't worry about it. It costs you absolutely nothing to do this. And if you can see, we're kind of going around, you can see all the different camps. There's the power, or there's the damage camp. Here's the gold fury. We're going to go ahead and attack that. Now, I didn't put any items on, so I'm level 20, but I have no items on. You'll see the gold fury absolutely destroys me. But I just really wanted to show this off. I think a lot of y'all newer guys probably don't know about this. Definitely use this as a tool if you want to go pick up a new god and you just don't know who, you want to try someone out. You can use this. It will give you a rough idea if you like the god or not. Now I'm going to do 2 picks for each role, so let's get right into this top 10 list. Now, in no particular order, I'm going to start this list off with Cupid. Cupid is a very easy hero to pick up and play. His big focus is he shoots his gun. And if you're coming from Paragon, this should remind you of Murdoch. He does have a little bit more in-depth kit, but it is pretty simple, guys. He's got a heal, he's got a stun, he's got a dash, and then his ultimate is just a giant AoE. So pretty much you want to focus on shooting your gun and being good at shooting your gun. And with Smite, the flight times on AoE, the flight times on basic attacks are a lot slower than they were in Paragon. And so learning how to lead that target and just those kind of small little things are really key. That's why I think Cupid is a very strong pick for your first pickup. And even though Cupid is really more focused on using his gun, you can utilize that full kit to just do crazy damage. And you see in these next few clips, you know, we get a great double kill there with that ultimate. In this clip, we're able to dash under this tower before the enemy team even realizes what's going on. And with those stuns, we end up getting another double kill on those 2 casters. We're able to get this sneaky kill in the back of this other caster, and then, you know, kind of rotate around, and then we end up taking out this Raw in just 3 hits. So, guys, Cupid is very, very strong, and he can make some great plays, so I highly recommend checking him out if you're looking into getting into the hunter role. The next hero I would recommend for that hunter role is Hachem. His passive stacks his MP5, which really allows you to have just a ton of mana sustain, and this is absolutely unique and can really allow you to pick up those health pots, so staying in lane is just much easier. Eagle Eye is a simple self buff that really, you know, it's a toggle that increases your attack speed, and that's huge. And since you're stacking up that MP5, you're going to be full of mana in no time. Next, we have Heavy Banner, which is his number 2 ability. This drops down and does a significant amount of damage, but the main point of Heavy Banner is it is another attack speed self buff, which will also feed into your MP5 when you place it down. Next we have his dash, I don't know how to say the name, guys, but we have his dash, which is not only a stun so you can use it offensively, but it is also a very solid escape. Lastly, we have his ultimate. Now his ultimate, you mount a horse and charge towards the enemy. This can be used as an escape in, dire circumstances because you are on a mount and you are going to travel very, very quickly. But it is also good for securing kills that might just be slightly out of range. Using your catching up abilities as well as your self buffs in the form of banners or your number 1, this really allows you to focus on getting your last hits, which getting last hits is what an ADC is all about. Even if, you get caught out a little bit, you can use that escape, reposition yourself, and flip that fight around. And just with Hachiman's self buffs, he does an absolute amazing job at, focusing those basic attacks, which is what you really want. Even if you end up being into a bad situation, you can rotate around, reposition yourself with your ultimate and still flip that fight and, maybe even become successful with it. So I highly recommend checking out Hachiman for maybe your second hunter. And again, guys, use that jungle training to really test out to see if you like these heroes. Now, the first Guardian I have on the list is Ymir. Not only is he simple to play, but everything he does is about controlling the fight. Whether he's putting up an ice wall to block in or block out enemies, he's using Glacial Spike that applies a slow, or he's using Frost Breath to completely freeze the enemy and allow your team to just tee off on them. Everything he does is about controlling that fight, even down to his ultimate that creates that huge danger zone that enemies can either stay in and take tons of damage, or they can get out, allowing your team to fight them and hit them in the back. Ymir is absolutely great at controlling the fight, which is exactly what you want in a tank. There are a ton of different jobs for a tank, whether you're showing up to do damage and get your CC off to ensure your team is able to secure a kill, or you're rotating over to a fight to help out a situation that, hey, you might just need somebody there to provide some sort of CC, even if you miss it, but just to have a little bit of help. Or even if you're supposed to be that mindless battering ram that just charges the enemy to deal damage and become a threat. All of these things are absolutely huge to be a tank, and Ymir does it great. Ymir is definitely a threatening force that I can highly recommend picking up as your first Guardian. If you want to not only control a fight, but displace a team and split that team in half, you should go with Zing 10. If you were a Sevarog main, Zing 10 is your guy. He does a great job. He is a big tank, and he can really get into the middle of the action. He does have a catch-up feature as well as a knock-up with a stun, and his ultimate is a huge displacement, which is absolutely huge for the team, and you can really throw people around to help secure that death, and it's absolutely huge. With Zing's passive allowing him to stack up HP 5, his knock-up, his catch-up feature, his ability to shred armor, as well as that displacement ultimate, it really allows him to play as a true tank, get in the middle of the action, and just crank out tons and tons of damage, as well as just being that tank, being that front line your team desperately needs so your hunters can tee off in the back lane. And Zing is the best hero for that if that's your type of playstyle. With his tank ability, he really allows you to be that front line. You can see here we run straight into a group of 5 enemies, and guys, we're just gonna do work. We're gonna be that tank, be that front line, do tons and tons of damage, and even when they're escaping, we can, if we have something like Blink on, we can use that. We get that stun off, and we're able to wrap up those kills. We provide a much needed service in, you know, controlling that fight and really displacing the enemies and allowing my team to capitalize on getting that damage off. Guys, if you liked Arrg, this is the Smite equivalent in a sense. There's no one quite like Arrg, but Zing is very close. Now, as far as mid laners, I would highly recommend Anubis. He's a very good damage dealer and has pretty decent sustain due to his passive. He has a couple of AoE abilities, such as Grasping Hands and Plague of Locust, which really allow him to clear waves quickly. He can also mummify a target, which can be used as an escape to, you know, stun an enemy for a second and continue to run away. Or you can use that paired with some of your other abilities, like Grasping Hands, and then hit them with your Death Glaze, and you will instantly melt them. He does tons and tons of damage with his ultimate, and due to his passive, stacking a couple of lifesteal items on him make him very, very hard to deal with by single targets. Whether you're rotating over early on in the match to help out your duo lane, get a kill very quick, and then head back to your lane, or whether you're heading back to your lane and you end up getting another quick kill because, hey, you used your stun and your ultimate combined, or you're walking in behind the enemy team and throw down your AoE paired with your ultimate to absolutely melt the enemy team, Anubis does work. And he's very simple to play. You know, he's got some very good wave clear, as well as that very, very high damage. He's got some very good sustain, especially paired with a few items that, you know, you can pick up early on in the match. He's an all-around great burst caster, and when you think burst caster, you should be thinking high damage Anubis. Now, if you want to trade out high damage single target for more of a lane pushing god, you can go with somebody like Cupid. He has a great ability with his 3 to shove lanes and really just kind of provide a good amount of poke to the enemy if they walk into that circle, and it's a lasting poke. That AoE does quite a bit of damage, and it has lingering damage when they leave that circle. So if you hit somebody with it, they're guaranteed gonna take some damage, and you can use that to clear waves pretty quickly. Just like Anubis, Cupid, when he rotates, he can provide good damage in these danger zones. His ultimate does quite a bit of damage as well, but it's more of a burst damage instead of that long time beam. It's kind of instant with that knockback, but you can use those abilities to really zone out the enemy team. Cupid can also push waves pretty quickly. If you see here with one ability, we're able to put that down, and when those minions walk through that ability, they're going to get those stacks of that whirlwind and they're going to die. And so you can basically put that ability down and essentially leave your lane, because your lane will be taken out. And this is, you know, this is a very quick lane push, and this really provides, you know, that ability to leave your lane quickly. You can see here, I'm going to stay in this lane, but I didn't need to. Those minions died before my minion wave even caught up. So he does have very fast wave clear. One of the biggest differences between Anubis and Cupid is Cupid actually has a speed up. Instead of being able to root the enemy, he can actually speed up and take them out with his 2. And the 2 is on a pretty short cooldown, and it's just a very fast way to get around the map, and this really provides some much needed help. You know, if you want to clear your wave quickly, you can put your 3 down, hit your 2, and rotate, and before the enemy has had time to take out your wave, you're gonna take him out. Moving on to the jungle side of life, the first hero I would recommend is Mesa. Now, this hero is a very, very high damage hero, but he's kind of, once you're in, you're in. So if you pick a fight with somebody that has more sustain or healthier than you, chances are you might not survive that. But if you are fully healed and they're at half health, go for it. You are a true assassin with Mesa. You can keep somebody stunned for a very good amount of time, as well as providing tons and tons of damage. His passive also allows him to stack up critical strikes up to 10%, so he's one of the few heroes that has critical strike out the door. And he feels very good in that assassin role, but again, once you engage in that fight, you are committed to that fight because he has very little means of escape. Now, Mesa has a great combo of using his sash to stun an enemy, close that distance, and then immediately follow that up with his 4 or his ultimate, which knocks them into the air, allowing him to do a 3-hit combo. And you simply just click whenever it says critical strike and you will guarantee a critical strike. And this just provides a ton of damage. Now, universal ring toss is really used to stack your passive, and if you can get to 20 stacks on your passive, you'll get that 10% extra crit, which altogether, this makes him a very, very high damage hero. But again, he does not have an escape, really. In a lot of ways, Mesa reminds me of Countess. You go in, do absolutely tons of damage very, very quickly, and then get out as fast as possible. That's really what reminds me of, Nesa's gameplay. Your kit is what makes you, although Mesa does provide quite a bit of damage with his basics, you still, you really want to focus on getting that kit with your stun, with your ring toss, with your heal. All of that provides much needed tool to actually get those kills. And you can see we end up getting a great set of kills here with, ending up in a quad kill by just using that kit to really take full advantage of, all the damage we can provide. And in this clip, you can really see that Countess comparison that I'm talking about. I absolutely delete their Anubis, and then, I've got a few things on cooldown at this point, and we get absolutely melted in this team fight. And this is really where that, I feel like Countess, I do tons and tons of damage, and if I can juke around the enemy, I might be able to get a team wipe. But if they focus me at all, I'm probably going down. The next hero I would recommend for the jungle is Bakasura. He's very easy to play, and he has a pretty simple kit. His 1 is a simple repositioning tool in the form of a jump. His 2 can be used to stack up his ultimate, but also provides a small little heal. His 3 is a simple self buff where, your basic attacks do more damage. And lastly, his 4 is an ultimate that does tons and tons of damage and a cone in front of him. So you can engage into a fight, either use that self buff or engage with your ultimate, usually get a kill, and then move on from there. He is very much an assassin though. Get in, do your work, get out. Don't really stick around. You're not a lane pusher, you're an assassin. You get kills when people don't expect it. You don't really want to toe-to-toe face off with anybody because you can take a ton of damage. Bakasura is capable of doing a ton of damage very, very quickly in the form of his ultimate. You can see there, we just absolutely burst that enemy god down, but you can also provide much needed assistance in team fights. And with your high damage, you can absolutely melt tanks or, take out those high damage dealing heroes as well. And you can see just by me jumping in, we kind of spun the enemy team around. That allowed my team to come in, and really, that's just kind of what you want to do as Bakasura. All in all, I feel he is a very easy hero to pick up, a very simple kit, and can provide quite a bit of damage for your team. Moving on to the warrior position, the first god I would recommend is Chalk. For all y'all Paragon guys, this is Quang. And although there are no gods in Smite that are like heroes in Paragon, Chalk is by far the closest. He can throw his axe, then teleport to his axe. He has a great sustain mechanic, and his ultimate is a big AoE with a knockup instead of a slow. So really, he's got a lot of the same features as Quang, and you can see I'm being poked constantly by this tier. We're healthy, guys. So really, he feels very good. He can take quite a beating just like Quang can. And if you were a Quang player, I highly recommend trying Chalk out. Now, just like Quang, you are that big frontline fighter. You can build tanky, but you still do quite a bit of damage even if you are a tank. And you can also stay in a fight ridiculously longer than you should be able to. And if you saw there, we tanked a Thoth ultimate and we're still healthy. We are healing back up and we're still staying engaged in that fight even though we don't want to really be in the fight. As Chalk, you can jump right into the middle of the enemies and feel pretty confident that you're not going to be just squishy and dead instantly. Although the kill times are very fast in Smite, you can last a little bit longer, and with your teleport, it allows you to reposition yourself in the middle of a fight and go in on the enemy's back lane. Readjusting that fight and, kind of switching the pace of that entire engagement. If you enjoy the warrior playstyle and want a hero that can really reposition himself and play offensively as well as providing a good service for his team, Chalk is your guy. Now, on the other side of things, if you want to be that warrior that kind of does his own thing and just deals damage, just can take a beating, put out some damage, and just provide an unstoppable force for your team, Hercules is your man. Hercules' passive allows him to stack up power every time he takes damage from the enemy. So really, the more you hit him, the stronger he gets. His 3, which mitigates wounds. He heals himself instantly and gains physical protection for 4 seconds. And a percentage of the damage dealt to him during that 4 seconds is then gave to him at the end of it as a massive heal. He has Earthbreaker, which displaces the enemy team and provides a small stun. And then he's got also a charge, which can be used as an escape or, reposition that enemy further into either under your tower or on the other side of your minion wave. And this can really provide quite a bit of damage for him, as well as he's just a tank, guys. He's very, very tough to deal with, and just like Greystone, he is kind of a pain. Now, Hercules can use his abilities to catch up to enemies, displace them, and, get easy kills. Or you can be the reason your team is fighting by forcing an engagement and then peeling off and using those abilities to disorient the team and just provide, a great distraction. And you can see here, we're going in on that Mercury. We're able to take out their damage dealer, and then all we have to deal with is the tanks. And again, we're going to peel for our more squishy heroes, and this allows our squishy heroes to crank out damage while people are dealing with me. Now, it doesn't really matter how you play Hercules, just kind of get into the middle of everything and do your best to beat people up with your giant club, but you do need to be aware that Driving Strike as well as Earthbreaker can really mess up a team fight if used improperly. So, try to use those abilities to displace the enemy in ways that will help your team. If you're in an engagement and you charge an enemy away that might have a decent amount of escape, and they end up being able to escape because you pulled them out of the fight, you hurt your team instead of help. So try to be aware of what's going on in that team fight before you just start smashing buttons. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this top 10 starter guide. I really hope I got to show off some of these easier gods to play because there are some super complicated gods in Smite. And I would rather, you know, some people would rather learn the position and pick an easier hero. And I really hope I got to show those off. But guys, if y'all did enjoy this video, show me some love, leave me a comment, think about subscribing, add me on Smite, guys. I'd love to play with y'all. Don't forget about that jungle training. It can really help you make the right purchase when you're looking at buying a god with those points. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.